Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Over the weekend, a protest was staged at the headquarters of the Department of State Services in Abuja, Nigeria, demanding the release of the convener of the Revolution Now protest, Omoyele Sowore, and his colleague Olawale Bakare. It should be recalled that the Abuja Division of the Federal High Court had issued the warrants for the release of the duo, and the Department of State Services acknowledged receipt of the warrants. However, the Department of State Services in Abuja on Thursday noted that it did not release Sowore and Bakare because there was no lawyer to receive them. This claim has been faulted by human rights lawyer Femi Falana SAN, stating that the DSS decided not to release his two clients to his lawyers, who waited in vain for not less than 4 hours at the headquarters of the State Services in Abuja. Social activist Deji Adeyanju and other activists then went to the headquarters of the DSS to demand the release of Sowore, but he and his team still couldn't make a headway. We're now being joined by Deji Adeyanju, social activist and commentator from our Rise Abuja studio, to talk to us a bit more about their mission to the DSS office in Abuja. Deji Adeyanju, welcome to the morning show.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Yes, Deji, good to have you. What happened on Saturday? What was your experience at the headquarters of the Department of State Services? And why do you think Sowore is still being held, despite the court order ordering his release?
Yes. We were surprised when we saw the press release from the DSS saying that the reason why Omoyele Sowore, was not being released or had not been released was because nobody came forward to receive him. So we decided the next day, which was on a Saturday, and said that since he had met the bail condition, it means that in line with section 35 of our Constitution, that there was no need to continue to keep him in detention. And Sowore is not a teenager, neither is he a child. Naturally, when someone has met bail condition, the normal thing for the agency of government to do is for immediate compliance. And because of the non-compliance, we went to the headquarters of the DSS in Abuja and Sowore, and we told them that we were here to not just to see Sowore, but to receive him, since they had said there was nobody to receive him. All attempts that we made to go in, you understand, was resisted. They did not even usher us in to go and sit at the reception or to see anybody. We asked for all the high-ranking officers. They said they were not present. We asked if there was any junior officers on ground. They also said they were not present. And we said to them that, this matter is of public interest, and that the reason why we are here, the good thing is that many of the people who were on ground knew us. And, we kept insisting that Sowore, they had no low cost to continue to detain Sowore. Because, you see, the provision of our laws are very clear, that no citizen shall be detained except on the order of the court, or when maybe the immigration is trying to remove someone unlawfully from Nigeria, or when he has an infectious disease. All these things have been stated, in section 35 of our Constitution. Again, the locus classicus on rule of law in our country has been set in the case of Ojukwu and Lagos State government, where the courts had severally held, the Supreme Court has severally held, that nobody needs to obey the law more than the government itself, because they cannot do anything except with the rule of law. And that even the citizens, that the government should be more eager to obey the law more than even the citizens. So, and that's why we begin to, as citizens, we wonder why a government, who requires the law, a government, this is not the first time that they are disobeying the court order on Sowore. You recall that Justice Taiwo had also earlier given an order releasing Sowore, but they flattered that order of court and hurriedly went to another court. Now this court has given the order. Sowore has met the condition. They have accepted that he has met the condition, but they are refusing to release him. So that was the basic reason why we were at the DSS headquarters on Saturday.
Okay, so what exactly, it's very obvious that the government of the day here is not complying by court orders and for some reason or another have this idea that sometimes they're above the rule of law. We can't even contest that because that one is right in our faces. But what I wanted to ask you is, what do you really think the DSS are actually trying to achieve here by coming out with a statement that nobody came to pick up the duo, as they have called Sowore and Bakare, and take them out of there, or a lawyer didn't come to pick them up, as they said, to release them? What do you think they're really trying to achieve by coming out with such a statement that many, including Femi Falana SAN, have actually had to just debunk as untrue?
Yes, basically, I was there. They said nobody came. We went there. I was there. One of Sowore's lawyer, Masha, was there with me. They failed to release Sowore either to me or to Masha, who was also sent by Femi Falana. And we have been in talks with Femi Falana and others on this issue. It's a very simple and straightforward matter. You understand? Someone has made bail, and you are refusing to release him because the agency, an agency of government or an arm, an agency under another arm of government, because there are three arms of government. We have the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive, and no arm must twist the other. So an agency, not even the main arm of government, an agency under an arm of government is refusing to comply with the valid orders of court. And whether anybody likes it or not, you understand, the message that the DSS and this government is passing across to people is very, very unfortunate and very sad. The government, this is not the first time that they are refusing to obey valid court orders. We know that this is way above the DSS. You understand? It's people in government, and the buck stops on President Muhammadu Buhari's table. It's President Muhammadu Buhari that he should be held responsible for all the impunity and the abuse of rule of law and due process in our country, because he is the head of the executive, and he's the one who is saying that they should not release Sowore. You understand? This has nothing to do with the DSS. In my understanding and in my view, that this is a direct assault on our democracy, and our constitutional democracy and the independence of the judiciary. You cannot talk about democracy without the independence of the judiciary. There's clear separation of powers under a constitutional democracy. And what is currently going on in our country is a direct violation of this clear doctrine of separation of powers in any democracy. Another fact that I would like to point out is very simple, that if President Muhammadu Buhari believes that orders of court will not be obeyed except if it favors the government, then maybe we should abolish the courts, we should close the courts, we should abolish separation of powers. He can as well, just like the way they just recently amended they passed a law without even the legislators knowing the content of the law on this VAT. They can as well amend the constitution overnight, you understand, and let them remove the doctrine of separation of powers. Let them oust the jurisdiction of the courts. You understand? If they believe that this is the way that they want to run the country, you understand. And if we do not have courts, or we have courts that their orders are not respected, then we go back to the time when we settle disputes with fisticuffs it will just be the battle of the fittest, because that is the kind of government that the current administration is trying to propose to Nigerians, and it is most unfortunate, and it's a direct contravention of our constitution, which is the ground norm of our country, and our case laws, which we have ample of them.
Well, Deji, I see you've been quoting the law, Section 35, locus classicus, and all of that. But see, do we really need somebody to go and take delivery of Sowore? If there is a court order and the release warrant has already been served on the Department of State Services, I mean, Sowore himself can just be released and he will come out on his own. What do you think is really happening? Is this a case of the government playing out its position that sometimes for national security reasons, the rule of law may have to be subordinated to national security?
Well, basically, this president has made it clear. He made it even clear before the judiciary that he does not have respect for the rule of law or for human rights. The president has not shied away. That's why I said this is way beyond the state security services. So the president is, in terms of the executive arm, the president is the final arbiter, you understand, on issues of policy and government direction, You know, and chapter 2 of our Constitution is very clear when it comes to the issue of, state policy. You understand? You cannot do things that are, against public policy. You understand? Just because you want to please the president, or because you want to please the political party, or you want to please the ruling elite. You understand? Everything that must be done on the principle of social justice, and rule of law and equity as well. You understand? There's no way that an independent arm of government will be trying to twist another independent arm of government. The judiciary is not a department under the presidency. The courts are not an agency of government under the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration. It's an embarrassment to us, to the before the international community, and to everyone, who has a conscience as a Nigerian to see these kind of things happening. And that's why I said, this is not the first time the president is doing it. Look at Dasuki. Dasuki has been in DSS custody for how long? Look at Zagzaki. You understand? Then now look at what they are trying to do with the Sowore issue. You know, it's a very simple matter that when the court has taken a position on a matter, really that is what the case of Ojukwu, that is the position of law in the case of Ojukwu, that once the court is seized of a matter, that parties must cease from further actions. And the parties that nobody must take the law into their hands. That even the government cannot take the law into their hand. And you look at it critically, a situation where you are not obeying court orders, but you want the same, then you go to another court to charge the same Sowore and Bakare. Then you also want valid orders of court to be issued for their continued detention, and a new court has also released them. Then you will not obey the new court. Then you also want another court or the same court to respect, the position of government. It ridicules the position of government, and members of this government should be ashamed. People like the Attorney General of the Federation, are these people not ashamed that all this is happening under them? The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Tanko, must not keep quiet. When people see things like this happening, they think it's all well. Look at Oshibajo. This is somebody who is the senior advocate of Nigeria, he's the vice president. When the president said that rule of law would be secondary to national security, he refused to talk. When orders of court were being violated against Dasuki, he refused to talk. When orders of court were being violated against Zagzaki, he refused to talk. When homes of judges were invaded at night under the guise of fighting corruption, he refused to talk. When the former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onnoghen, was unconstitutionally removed from office, Oshibajo refused to talk. Now look at what is happening to him today. His office, is constitutionally recognized. People who their offices are unknown to our laws are the ones who have formed the cabal and who are not victimizing.
Like you described it, you said that it's more of like a battle of the fittest government. And I'll take you up on that when we get back from a very quick commercial break. So do stay with us and we'll continue this. Back to the morning show. Deji Adeyanju, social activist and commentator, is still with us in our Arise Abuja studios, and we are discussing matters arising around the ongoing detainment of Omoyele Sowore and Bakare also. Thank you for staying with us on the program. Now, before we went on a break, you had said that this is sort of a battle of the fittest government. You said maybe they should just go and amend the constitution overnight, and you quoted quite a number of things, and then you went on to also speak about the fact that this is a pattern, and there does seem to be a pattern of disorder here. We have seen it with the Dasuki case, we have seen it as well with the El Zagzaki case, and now we're also seeing it with the Sowore case. Now, where it gets interesting is that they have made it nearly impossible anyway for Sowore to reach this stage. They had put on a cap of 100 million naira for bail, etc., and the conditions were very, very harsh and very stark, let's say. So it was already looking quite impossible. Can you say, or would you say, that we can potentially be looking at a situation here where we may not see Omoyele Sowore out of detainment for quite a number of years, maybe even under this administration?
If even the bail itself was an unreasonable bail, because a bail that ousts the provision of the Constitution. Look at what the conditions of the bill. The condition of the bill says directly infringes on his fundamental human rights in Chapter 4 of our Constitution, Section 41 of our Constitution on the issue of movement, of his movement. Because the condition of the bill says that he cannot leave Abuja. The condition of the bill, again, goes ahead to take away his fundamental human rights in Section 39 of our Constitution, freedom of speech. You understand? Says he cannot grant interviews to the press. They went ahead to put several caps, monetary caps on the conditions for the bill. But as hard and as stringent as the conditions of the bill are, Sowore has met every condition of the bill. The DSS themselves, they've acknowledged, you know, that he has met the condition and the court has directed for his release. So why will anybody then go ahead to say that such a person should not be released, or that until people come forward before he's released? Look, again, I would draw your attention to what Justice Nikitobi said about the rule of law. The rule of law means the complete supremacy of the Constitution. And look at what Section 1.1 of our Constitution says. It said that this Constitution is supreme, and that any law, the same Section 1 says, any law that is inconsistent with this Constitution shall be null and void to the extent of its inconsistency. So, can the DSS or the president or the executive arm of government, can they be more superior, or can they have more supremacy over Nigeria than this Constitution? So, if the president of Nigeria,
Deji, what is next?
Yes, what is next is
Are
simple.
you planning to go back to DSS either today or tomorrow, or Sowore's lawyers, Bakare's lawyers will go to court to file a contempt charge against the DSS? Because clearly what you have established so far is that the DSS is in contempt of court. Yes.
It's not just the DSS that is in contempt of court. The executive arm of government is in contempt of court. We must always put things in perspective. President Muhammadu Buhari is to be held responsible for all the impunity, you know, and abuse of valid court orders in the country. President Muhammadu Buhari has shown repeatedly, again and again, that he does not believe in democracy. You understand? So it goes beyond the DSS. What can the DSS do when we have a president, a sitting president, you understand, who claims to be a reformed Democrat, who continuously violates the doctrine of separation of powers, who continually violates the doctrine of the rule of law? Look at all what we have heard about rule of law. Can you talk about rule of law without talking about an independent judiciary? Can you talk about rule of law without talking about separation of powers and, you know, the need to obey the courts? And what is next is very simple. For us, we were at the DSS on Saturday, and just like the promise we made to the DSS, I will be back there tomorrow, Tuesday, because what many of them claim that it was not a working day. I will be back there tomorrow. The lawyers were in communications and contact with them. We're supposed to have a follow-up meeting for this morning. You understand? Because several issues are being raised as we plan ahead of tomorrow. We know, we are mindful of the fact that this is a democracy. No matter how anybody tries to make it look that people should live in fear, people should be afraid, people should not, you know, fight for their rights. But as patriots, we believe that the greatest way to secure our own rights is by fighting for the rights of others.
Have you been in touch with Sowore and Bakare? And, you know, what's their mood? How are they feeling? And is Sowore still on hunger strike, or has taken the advice of his counsel?
Yes, he's still on hunger strike. I'm in touch with them. He still sent words to me yesterday in the evening. We have a mechanism in place that is very effective. There is no day that I'm not in touch with both of them. So as of yesterday in the evening, the last time he was seen, you know, he was still on hunger strike.
And how long exactly does he plan on being on hunger strike for? Is it until he gets out of DSS detention? And then also, what are you also hoping to achieve with your next few visits there? And if you don't see any real impact or response from the government to all of this, what are the next steps from there that we are going to see you taking?
You see, basically, the essence why we say we are running against time is because if Sowore is not eating, you understand, then you know that his life is in danger. And that is one of the reasons, one of the points that we stressed when we were there on Saturday, that they need to hurriedly and quickly release Sowore and Bakare as soon as possible. You understand? Because what we are currently seeing is that we are witnessing a situation where a fellow Nigerian is being put beneath the law and his rights are being violated and trampled upon. You understand? And this should worry every sane Nigerian. It does not matter whether you say you like Sowore or you hate Sowore or you don't like Sowore. This is about a fellow Nigerian. When this happened to Zakzaki, people were saying he's corrupt, he's this. Then it happened to Zakzaki. He happened to Dasuki. People were saying he's corrupt, he's this. Then because we did not talk, it happened to Zakzaki. Now it's happening to Sowore. We don't know who is next. So, and this is the reason why we must always come together as citizens when something is bad, when something is wrong. Just like what is happening to Vice President Yemi Osinbajo now. We cannot say because we don't like Yemi Osinbajo, allow people who have no constitutional backing under the law to come and be with hunting Osinbajo. You understand? So when things are wrong, the chief of staff is not a constitutionally recognized office. Tunde Sabiu, who is the PA to the president, is not constitutionally recognized under the law. So we cannot watch these people humiliate the vice president, who is constitutionally recognized under our law. You understand? It's not like allowing the first lady to ridicule and we turn the president. The office of the first lady is not recognized under the law. What the DSS is doing with the instruction of the president is not recognized under our laws. Our laws is explicit. Again, I would like to refer the president to Section 35 of our Constitution. You should read Section 35 from beginning to the end.
You keep referring to the president. Deji, you keep referring to the president. But what we know is that the president is on vacation. So are you being fair to him to keep saying he's the president that is behind this?
The president is not on any vacation. And we all know this because the president, while in London, he signed an offshore bill in offshore. So the president is fully, and Garba Shehu has come out to say that the president is fully in charge of his government. So the president is the one keeping Sowore unlawfully and unconstitutionally. So the president is the one behind all this impunity. The president, and I want to refer the president to Section 35 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. The president should take his time. Because many people have said that he does not really familiarize himself with some of these things. The president should take his time to go and read Section 36, of the 1999 Constitution as amended. The president should take his time and go through. He should go through Section 35 and Section 36 as well on right to liberty and issue of fair hearing. He should go through critically. He should read item by item. He will see that all that he is doing is a direct assault on our constitutional democracy. And that by the actions that is being carried out by his government, he has technically suspended our constitution.
Absolutely. And it is quite a worrying situation. And you said something. You said that this hunger strike is posing a threat as well to his health. And is that something that should be of great concern to people right now? How long do you think he can really go still hunger striking? And how serious is that particular situation? I mean, we all knew what happened when it hit the news that El Zakzaki's health started to deteriorate, etc. Is it possible that we could be getting towards another situation like that? Or what exactly is it? Please do clarify.
Yes, basically, if he's on hunger strike, it is very simple and clear that he will definitely be extremely weak. Our people that has been seeing him, you understand, and the information we have from within, shows that he has been sleeping. You understand? Because which means he's weak. He doesn't even have strength to really get up. When people went to see him, I think it was yesterday, he was even reluctant to get up because when somebody is on hunger strike, he's not knowing fully well Sowore has not been taking any food or any water. So, and he's not going to stop until he's released. So basically, except if they want him dead. And it makes no sense that you kill a man that has been set free. Sowore is a free man. What is he still doing in custody? And that's why I said that this government, the President Muhammadu Buhari-led government, and President Muhammadu Buhari in particular must be held responsible for all the violations of our constitution and the rule of law in the country.
Well,
and
Deji,
that's why I said, and I'm saying it again.
Deji, thank you very much. That's all we'll be able to take on this subject.
Thank you.
We wish you all the best as you pursue the course of the rule of law. Thank you very much.